everyone. My name is Barry Joseph. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I want to thank my dad, of course, for inviting me to come, and the committee at the synagogue. It's a real pleasure to get to be here tonight for many reasons. This is actually my second time speaking here at the temple. I don't know if you know this. I was so flattered when I was asked to come, but then I realized, you know, it's been 25 years since I last spoke. And I see some faces who were here last time, but for those who weren't here, let me show you a short clip. So right over there. I was talking about economic and justice issues in the Bible. Yeah, at my bar mitzvah. The place has changed a little bit since then. I think I've gotten a little bit taller. What I'm going to talk about today, and here's the title, A Critical Analysis of the Carbonic Influences of Post-Priestly H2O on Peoples of Hebraic Descent Within the Continental United States. A musical comedy. There's a lot that I can share about this topic of seltzer, and I just want to make tonight fun. I want to share some of the specific fun elements that I've come across in my research the last few years of learning about seltzer and its history, and specifically focusing tonight on its history with Jews and Seltzer. Why? Because I'm Jewish and we're in a temple, and I thought, what better opportunity to put it together for tonight. There is a history of where this has come about, and I'll share that with you shortly. There are many elements to the project, and I'm going to pull all those elements together. That's part of why I wanted to have a speaker and a video. We'll have some video, some sound. I want to thank those in advance who didn't know it but are in the audience and are also going to be in the presentation. You'll see yourselves when you come up. It all began when I learned about this seltzer machine that came out. And I thought, hey, this would be great. Why don't I ask the forward if I can write an article for them so I can get a free one? And I did, and I wrote the article, Mixing Up the Spritz, December 31st, 2004. And it was very short. It wasn't that much to write about. And somebody contacted me and said, hey, that might be a good idea for a book. So I started researching, and I found so much that was going on that I made the blog in the lower right, givemeseltzer.com. Some people contacted me from the blog. Did anyone make it from the blog? I said, there's a blog community, people who read the posts. And then if anyone listens to podcasts, that's iTunes in the upper right-hand corner. There's a podcast. I interview people. I find songs. I find people who did stuff around seltzer, and just to talk about it. It was all just a way for me to find out what is out there about seltzer. What do people talk about? What do they know? What is the history? There's so many books out there about different different food items or drinks. You know, there's one about cod. There's one about salt. So I thought, oh, what is there to know about seltzer? There wasn't no one spot. It doesn't exist in one history. So this became a community of sorts of people from all over the world who would send me stories, who would translate stuff for me that was in other languages. And again, tonight's going to be an opportunity for me to share a little bit of the book, but also mostly show some of the original source materials about the history of Jews and seltzer that I find are most interesting, and then little pieces and excerpts of some of the interviews. We'll start with one of them now.
In the candy store and help my aunt and uncle.
Like, what's this drink I hear about that was popular, the egg cream?
The egg cream, oh my God. The egg cream is a glass of seltzer with a big squirt of chocolate syrup and some milk. And you mix it up, and it gets a nice frothy top because of the milk. And it's delicious. I used to put the syrup in first, then the seltzer, and leave a little room for milk on top.
And could people actually get seltzer for 2 cents back then?
Yes, you get a small glass of seltzer. It was about a 6-ounce size for 2 cents. And if you wanted the children to be educated and do better for themselves than their parents did, and it was paying out the 2 cents, it was sometimes hard for them. You have to realize the times when people were only earning $30 or $40 a week, so giving out 2 pennies for seltzer was sometimes thought of taking it away from their children.
For 2 cents plain, right, back in the day? Right? So let's go back to 1900. Right? In the Jewish Lower East Side, there were no fewer than 73 soda fountains located within this 1/3 square mile area. That was written by a man named Herschel Goldhirsch. Does anyone recognize his name? Herschel Goldhirsch. He changed his name later to Harry Golden. Does that ring any bells? He was born in 1902 in Ukraine. His family moved to Canada and then to New York City soon after that. He was a stockbroker who, after the crash, got arrested for mail fraud. He was actually in jail for 5 years. Led him to move down to the South, where he created the Carolina Israelite. And that's when he became famous, which he ran from 42 to 68. It's an amazing publication if you ever have a chance to check it out. Most people know it from For 2 Cents Plain, his 1958 publication, media bestseller, where he talked about his life growing up on the Lower East Side. And these are one of the things he had to say. The entire Lower East Side civilization was addicted to seltzer, and of the great variety of sweet drinks mixed with seltzer. You bought a drink from a man behind a marble counter at any of the hundreds of soda water stands scattered throughout the sections. A small glass cost a penny. Give me a small plain, no syrup. Syrup cost another penny. For a large glass, you said, give me for 2 cents plain. As the man filled the glass, you said casually, still holding tightly to your 2 pennies, put a little on the top. You wanted syrup, of course, but you didn't want to pay the 3rd penny. The next time you tried it, though, the man insisted on your 2 pennies first before he started to fill the glass. I know my customers, he'd say. This collection, I think, took that phrase for 2 cents plain out of the Lower East Side and made it a phrase known around the country, decades later, decades after, and is part of what seltzer became. Not just a drink, but something associated with certain people and a nostalgia for a certain time period. And we'll come back to that towards the end.